है युवराज नलावडे सर. ही इज द असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर, भारतीय विद्या भवन, हजारीमल सोमानी कॉलेज, मुंबई. 1995 से वो वहाँ पे काम कर रहे हैं. लास्ट 24 इयर्स का उनका एक्सपीरियंस है और मुझे बहुत खुशी होती है उनके बारे में बताने के लिए. बहुत सारी किताबें उन्होंने लिखे हुए हैं और उनका मेडिवल इंडिया एक फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट है और उसमें बहुत सारी किताबें उन्होंने लिखी हुई है. और ऐसे रिसोर्स पर्सन हमारे बीच में आज उपस्थित है. उनको रिसर्च में बहुत ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट है. बहुत सारे नेशनल इंटरनेशनल रिसर्च पेपर उन्होंने प्रेजेंट किए हैं और ऐसे शख्सियत, ऐसे बहुत डायनेमिक पर्सनालिटी हमारे बीच में उपस्थित है. नन अदर असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर युवराज नलावडे सर. तो हेल्प मी वेलकम सर. ओवर टू यू.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So, thank you for the well introductory note, sir. Very kind of you. It's my pleasure, and I always like to join you anytime. So today, my course of work will be on paper 4, History of Medieval India. So when in reference, first, friends, let me introduce the subject first in the sense of exam and other to extract the knowledge from this subject. It is very important. And nowadays, it is very important to know the medieval Indian history because nowadays lots of politicians are distorting the history. And it is very important to know the key factor of every incident, every factor that has been happened in the medieval times of India. So let me go for the background. During the 6th century, 6th and 7th century, when we had the Rajput period, so from the time of Rajput period, we have seen the invasion of Islam in India. By the time when King Harshavardhan was ruling, he was the dynamic king. Why? Because he was the last king who united all the Rajput kings together and had a collectively united strength, and nobody dared, no foreigner dared to invade India. But his death in 647 made a total difference. All the Rajput princes, they separated, they disunited, and they started fighting among themselves. And this was harmful for the unity of our country. And that time, India was not one country, because each king was independent and his kingdom he denoted as his country. So each country had its own king. They were on Indian subcontinent, but they were totally different from each other. Each one fighting for each other, each against each other. And so in this condition, the foreigners like Hans, the Shakas, the Pratiharas, the latest, the Muslims, they started invading India. In 712, Muhammad bin Qasim, he entered India. And through him, a new culture hit the wave in Indian soil. And from that time, this culture went into the depth of Indian people, Indian culture, Indian rituals, and it became Indianized. This is the peculiarity of Islam. It became Indianized. And from 712 to 1000, we have seen many invaders whose basic aim was to loot India, to loot the strength, loot the richness of India, richness of our country. And the technique which they used to loot the country, it is very important to note. Muhammad Ghori, Muhammad Ghazni, they came here to loot India. They did not aim, they did not have any dream to establish the kingdom in India. Their only aim was to loot India, the treasury of India, the richness of India. And when they came, they looted various places, collected the loot and kept it at one place. And from that place, it was parceled to that country or to their kingdom. The place where all the loot was collected, that became popular. It started gaining importance. And today, it has its own importance, and it is known as Delhi, the capital of our country. And so, the first Muslim kingdom was established in Delhi under the title of the Sultan Shah, Delhi Sultan Shah, the Sultanate of Delhi. अभी ये क्यों हो गया? जो लास्ट लूटर था, he was killed in between, और उसके चार, he had 4 trusted slaves. नासरुद्दीन का बच्चा, ताजुद्दीन याल्डोस, बख्तियारुद्दीन खिलजी, and Kutubuddin Aibak. These were the 4 trusted slaves. The 3 distributed the kingdom of Ghori in between them, and Kutubuddin Aibak took over the charge of them, and he established the Delhi Sultanate. After him, he was the first ruler, Kutubuddin Aibak. Then he was followed by Samshuddin Altamash. After Altamash, his daughter Razia Begum, the first female ruler of our country, and Ghiyasuddin Balban. Now these 4 rulers, main rulers, I'm not going into the detail, only the outline. These 4 rulers fall from the slave dynasty because Kutubuddin Aibak himself was a slave, and for ruling purpose, he got the permission from the religious leaders and removed the slaveness from him.
Yuvraj sir, sorry for interrupt.
After the slave dynasty, Khilji dynasty came in power, and ये खिलजी डायनेस्टी के अंदर Alauddin Khilji was the most powerful ruler, most powerful king, most powerful sultan. Now, when we talk about Alauddin Khilji, comparing the Khilji dynasty and the slave dynasty again, the slave dynasty only consolidated the Delhi Sultanate and expanded it. So, consolidation and expansion of Delhi Sultanate was done basically mainly in the Delhi Sultanate slave dynasty. During the Khilji dynasty, they got the ready-made kingdom of India, where there was no necessity of expansion, no necessity of consolidation. Now, Alauddin Khilji was the first sultan who worked immensely for the country. He brought many administrative measures. He brought many administrative reforms और बहुत बदलाव उन्होंने किया, टैक्सेशन का बदलाव किया. आज जो प्लेसेस आज भी अलाउद्दीन खिलजी के जमाने से पहचाने जाते हैं, वो है आवर फेमस सब्जी मंडी. दिस मंडी, this word is denoted from Alauddin Khilji's time. He gave the technique to calculate the area of a farm. So such kinds of measures Alauddin Khilji gave. After Khilji dynasty, Tughlaq dynasty came, and the ruler Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Most of the historians called him the mad sultan because he was thinking before his time, and it became hazardous for him. Then came the Sayyid dynasty and the Lodi dynasty. This is the continuous rule of the Sultanate period. Now, important to note, in between this Sultanate, this Muslim rule, one Hindu kingdom arose in the south, and that was Vijayanagar Empire. और ये विजयनगर एम्पायर की स्थापना दो भाइयों ने किए थे, हरियारा एंड बुक्कारा. अभी ये तो भाइयों का इतिहास, उनके पिताजी संगम, जैसे मोहम्मद बिन तगलक दक्षिण में सवारी करने के लिए आए थे, तब ये संगम के साथ उनकी लड़ाई हुई थी. तो संगम कुछ सल्तनत के राज्य के खिलाफ कुछ ना करे, इसलिए ये दोनों लड़के उसके मोहम्मद बिन तगलक ने कस्टडी में लिया और दिल्ली लेके गया. दिल्ली लेके जाने के बाद उनको इस्लाम धर्म पढ़ाया और वो मुस्लिम सरदार बन गए. और फिर बाद में in the 14th century they were sent to capture the treasury of South India. और जैसे वो आए दक्षिण में, उनको उनके धर्मगुरु मिले. धर्मगुरु ने उनको विधि करके वापस हिंदू धर्म में लाया और तुंगभद्रा नदी के किनारे वो धर्मगुरु के आशीर्वाद से विजयनगर साम्राज्य की स्थापना की. ये विजयनगर साम्राज्य की स्थापना बहुत विशाल. Many great kings were born in Vijayanagar Empire. One of them, Krishna Deva Raya. Now, this is the part of Delhi Sultanate which started from 1000 AD and it ended by the end of the Lodi dynasty in 1526. This is the background. Now 1526 में क्या हुआ कि इब्राहिम लोदी, जो लास्ट लोदी किंग था, उन्होंने अपना दिल्ली की सुल्तान शाही पे अपना कब्जा या अपनी ताकत दिखाने के लिए जो एक फॉरेन इन्वेजन हुआ था बाबर के नाम से, उसके साथ उसकी लड़ाई हुई। और बाबर ने इब्राहिम लोदी का पराभव किया, डिफीटेड इब्राहिम लोदी, और दिल्ली सुल्तान शाही का सर्वनाश हो गया। In fact, the decline of the Sultanate started from the Sayyid itself, because there was no strong king from the Sayyid dynasty as well as from the Lodi dynasty. The Mongols invaded from time to time, और ये उनका यश बाबर के जमाने में हुआ। The first battle of Panipat was fought on 14th April 1526, और उधर दिल्ली सुल्तान शाही का ह्रास हो गया और एक नया साम्राज्य ने जन्म लिया, and that was the Mughal Empire. और यही मुगल एम्पायर का स्टडी आज का अपना कॉन्सेंट्रेशन है। जैसे दिल्ली सुल्तान शाही में अलग अलग घराने का इतिहास है, मुगल शाही में एक ही घर का इतिहास है जो बाबर से शुरू होता है। बाबर ने एस्टैब्लिश किया मुगल एम्पायर। बाबर के बाद आया हुमायूं, उसका लड़का। हुमायूं के बाद उसका लड़का आया अकबर। अकबर के बाद आया जहांगीर। जहांगीर के बाद आया शाहजहां, और शाहजहां के बाद आया औरंगजेब। एक ही घराने के सब। जैसे we say the kingdom of the Mughals passed from generation to generation. When Humayun was ruling, that time the Mughal Empire was broken down by Sher Shah Suri, and for some time again the Sultan Shahi was reborn, but it died its natural death. So in this Mughal period, Babur founded the kingdom in India. He was a struggler, and from great struggle, he reached India and established the Mughal rule. बाबर के बारे में बहुत से इतिहासकारों ने उनकी काबिलियत के ऊपर बहुत अच्छी तरह नोट किया है। और जैसे ये मुगल शासन 1526 में शुरू हो गया, इट एंडेड इन 1707। Zahiruddin Muhammad bin Umar Sheikh बाबर, ये उनका रियल नेम. He was also known as Zahiruddin Muhammad Babar. He laid down the foundation of the rule of a new dynasty in India in 1526. Belonged to the family of Chaktai Turks. However, in Indian history, his family has been called the Mughal. Babur was born on 14 February 1483 in the town of Adijan in the Fergana Valley, which is in modern Uzbekistan. आज जो रशिया यूक्रेन की लड़ाई हुई चालू है, उधर ही ये उज्बेकिस्तान है. Babur was the eldest son of Umar Sheikh Mirza and the blood of two great warriors, two great conquerors flowed in Babur's vein. He was the fifth descendant from the Timur from the side of his father and 14th descendant of Chengiz Khan from the side of his mother. Babur succeeded in thwarting the attempts of his relatives who wanted to conquer the small principality of his father in the Fergana Valley. Babur was fascinated by the conquest of his ancestor Timur, which Timur belonged and made Samarkand as his capital. When Babur established his kingdom in India, India was divided into several kingdoms, both in the north and in the south. The Delhi Sultanate had broken into pieces, and the efforts of the Sayyid and the Lodi Sultans had failed to revive its power and glory. Ibrahim Lodi, the last ruler, he was not a good diplomat, not capable commander also. He tried to subdue the Afghan nobility, which had resulted in serious revolts. And even his subjects, even his ministers were revolting against him. During his rule, Bihar was virtually independent, and the governor of Punjab, Daulat Khan Lodi, also became independent, and Babur was invited to attack India. After a fierce battle, Babur established the Mughal rule. in 1526. So the new एक नया इस्लामिक शासन, दिल्ली की सुल्तान शाही ये भी एक मुस्लिम शासक है, मुगल शाही ये भी एक मुस्लिम शासक है, दोनों का फर्क अलग अलग इन कल्चर, इन रिचुअल्स, यह अलग अलग ही है। बाबर जैसे भारत में आया, पानीपत की लड़ाई हुई in 1526. The second battle, the fierce battle, was fought at Khanua on 17th March 1527, in which he had to fight against the Rajputs and Maharana Sangram Singh, who is known as Rana Sanga, had to fight against Babar. Another battle at Ghagra was fought on 6th May 1529. By these battles, Zahiruddin Muhammad Babar firmly consolidated himself on the Indian soil. अभी ये इतिहास, बाबर का इतिहास अपने को कैसे मिलता है? सोर्सेस क्या है? उस समय जो कंटेम्पररी राइटर्स थे बाबर के दरबार में, कुछ अलग इतिहासकार नहीं बोल सकते हैं, लेकिन कुछ ऐसे लोग थे जो रोज की ड्यूटीज या रोज के उपक्रम लिख के रखते थे। Babar, he himself was a diarist, and he used to write, he used to pen down every day. और उनका जो लिखा हुआ कलेक्शन है उसको बाबरनामा कहा जाता है। The memoirs of Babar, that is his autobiography. It is entitled as Turak-e-Baburi, और पर्शियन लैंग्वेज में उसको बाबरनामा कहा जाता है। It was written by he himself in his mother tongue, Turki. Babarnama has been accepted as a meritorious work from both the point of view of literature and history. उनके दो राइटर्स बयानदा खान एंड अब्दुल रहीम खान खाना, ये दोनों ने ये बाबरनामा बहुत अच्छी तरह से ट्रांसलेट किया है और उससे अपना इतिहास, उस समय का मध्ययुगीन काल का इतिहास अपने को समझ में आता है। उन्होंने अपने भारत देश के बारे में बहुत कुछ लिखा रखा। The description of India made by Babar is neither complete nor entirely correct. He had to make no mention, यानी उनके लिखान में ओडिशा, खानदेश, सिंध एंड कश्मीर, इनके बारे में कुछ मेंशन नहीं किया, because we can say that he had whatever time he has got, he has written. Then moving forward, Nasiruddin Muhammad Humayun. He was the second son of the Mughal emperor after Babur. ये कहानी हुमायूं की कहानी भी बहुत अलग है. I'm just recollecting my memories which my teacher told me when I was a student. बाप बेटे का प्यार इतना बड़ा था कि once Humayun had fallen sick. Literally, he was on his deathbed. तभी बाबर ने दरगाह में जाके प्रार्थना की. And he prayed that whatever disease Humayun has got should pass on to him, and his life should be given to Humayun. This is the story which my teacher has told me, and suddenly, from the next day, Babar started deteriorating his health, and Humayun started gaining his life. So when Babar died, Nasruddin Muhammad Humayun came onto the throne with the title of Muzaffar Nasruddin Muhammad Humayun Padishah Ghazi. This was the title he used when ascending on the throne. He succeeded his father in 1530, while his half-brother Kamran Mirza, who became the greatest enemy, obtained the sovereignty of Kabul and Lahore, the northern parts of Babur's empire. When he was ruling, Humayun lost his Indian territories to the Afghan noble Sher Shah Suri, and then later on, with the Persian aid, regained those 15 years later. 15 साल तक ये मुगल शासन खंडित था. Humayun returned to Persia and challenged Sher Shah Suri and extract again the Delhi kingdom under the title of Delhi Mughal Shah. Babur could not get time to consolidate his conquest of India. He distributed money and treasury lavishly among his nobles and soldiers, which created financial difficulties for the empire. Therefore, Nasruddin Mahmud Humayun inherited an unstable and bankrupt empire from his father. Besides the advice of Babur to treat his brothers also created problem for an obedient son, Humayun. That is why it has been remarked that Humayun had a rich legacy of difficulties from his father, or Humayun beneath the empire, which could exist only in times of war. All the three brothers of Humayun, Kamran, Askari, and Hindal, they proved totally incapable, but also disloyal. So internally and externally, Humayun had to face lots of trouble. While he was in power, Humayun had to fight with one of his enemy named Bahadur Shah in the Battle of Kalinjar. Then at Durya, he had to fight against Mahmud Lodi, another Afghan enemy. Then he contested against Bahadur Shah, the ruler of Gujarat. And later on, Gujarat was surrendered to the Mughals. In 1537, Humayun started fighting against Sher Shah, the ruler of Bihar. Sher Shah belonged to the Afghan tribe. And Sher Shah fought Humayun very tactically and very diplomatically. And that is why, with the diplomacy used by Sher Shah, Humayun lost the battle and Humayun failed to keep intact the Mughal Empire. Sher Shah Suri, also known as Farid Khan or Sher Khan, was a powerful medieval Indian emperor from Sasaram in Bihar. Sher Shah was of Pashtun descendant who founded the dynasty known as Sur dynasty in 1514 North India. He literally drove out the Mughals or the Mughal dynasty, and his rule marked the beginning of the short-lived Suri dynasty in India. After 15 years, Humayun defeated the Suri dynasty and re-established the Mughal dynasty again. After Humayun's death, his son Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar, who is very famously known as Akbar the Great, succeeded as the ruler of the Mughal Empire from 1556 to 1605. Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar was born on 15th October 1542 at the house of Raja Birsa of Amarkot, when his father Humayun was running from place to place as a fugitive after losing his empire to Sher Shah Suri. Akbar was grandson of Babur, and at birth, Akbar was named Badruddin Muhammad Akbar because he was born on the night of Badruddin, means full moon night. After the capture of Kabul by Humayun, his date of birth and names were changed to throw off the evil Sunars. The popular myth records that Akbar, meaning great, was a title given to Akbar by the people of India. In fact, he was given the name Akbar at birth after his maternal grandfather, Sheikh Ali Akbar Jamai. The childhood years of Akbar were very much difficult for him till Humayun captured Kabul and finally Delhi and Agra in 1555. But then Humayun died very soon in January 1556. Akbar was declared the Mughal emperor on 14 February 1556 at the age of 14 years. Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar was very fortunate in getting the service of Bairam Khan during the first 4 years of his reign. With his help and guidance, he defeated the Hindu king Samrat Hemu Chandra Vikramaditya, who is famously known as Hemu, in the Second Battle of Panipat, which was fought in November 1556. And therefore, Delhi and Agra was captured. Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar was an imperialist. He desired and frankly declared to pursue the policy of extension of the empire. Akbar, therefore, engaged himself in the wars of conquest all through his life. He succeeded largely. His empire extended from Kabul in the west to the Bengal in the east. He had initiated his conquest of southern India and partially succeeded before he died. Important to note, during the rule of Akbar, the history of Bairam Khan must be noted, because what Bairam Khan had taught Akbar, we see the reflection of that teaching in Akbar's rule after getting Akbar the strength to rule the country. Whatever changes, whatever reforms that were made, new reforms were introduced by Akbar. His religious policies, his Rajput's policy are very popular in the annals of the history. Denoting about the religious policy, he established a new religion, called as Din-e-Ilahi, and he himself kept as its founder. In this, he wanted that every man from his kingdom should be equally treated, should be known by one caste, one religion, and that was Din-e-Ilahi. But this religion also did not live a long life. His revenue policy was also very popular. He established a sound revenue administration, revenue being the largest source of income of the state. During the early period of his rule, he made several experiments in his field, but did not get much success. Ultimately, the system which he introduced with the help of Raja Todarmal succeeded, and this system has been called as the Dahshala system. And the process is known as Raja Todarmal's Bandobast in annals of the history, medieval Indian history. Akbar was the greatest among the Mughal emperors, one among the great rulers of India, and also one among the most reputed and the powerful rulers of the world. Akbar possessed an attractive and imposing personality. He was an obedient son, a lovable husband, and a generous father. He respected and loved all his friends and relatives. He was expert in handling the arms, was a fine shot and sturdy rider. He was capable of hard labor and had extraordinary courage to face difficulties and even to risk life in the battles. He had absolute faith in God and was tolerant to all religions. Akbar was illiterate, but by coming in contact with scholars in different fields, he had acquired useful knowledge in philosophy, religion, literature, history, etc. He justified it by bringing different innovations in religion and civil and military administration, and also by implementing them successfully. The character and personality of Akbar was that of a great monarch. He was successful as both an individual and as an emperor. His life and ideals were inspiring to others as ruler, conqueror, administrator, statesman, and a monarch. That is why Akbar alone has been regarded as the great among the Mughal emperors. Historians have described Akbar as a great ruler because of another reason as well. And it is that he was called as a national king. After him, Nasiruddin Salim Jahangir became the Mughal emperor. Jahangir means, it is a Persian name, and पर्शियन लैंग्वेज में उसको कॉन्करर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड कहा जाता है। नूरुद्दीन या नूरुद्दीन ये अरबिक है और इसका मतलब लाइट ऑफ द फेथ या he was born as Prince Muhammad Salim. He was the third and the eldest surviving son of Mughal Emperor Akbar. अकबर को एक ट्विन था जिनके हसन और हुसैन ये नाम थे, but they died very early. And Jahangir was a child of many prayers. Prince Muhammad Salim ascended the throne with the title of Nuruddin Muhammad Jahangir Padishah Ghazi and ruled from the age of 36 for 22 years. After him, his son Shahabuddin Muhammad Shahjahan. He was the ruler, Mughal ruler, who ruled from 1592 to 1666. The name Shahjahan in Persian means the king of the world. He was the fifth Mughal ruler after Babur, Humayun, Akbar, and Jahangir. He had married two wives, Arjumand Banu Begum, who is popularly known as Mumtaz Mahal. And another wife's name was Akbaradi Mahal. In Shahjahan's tenure, lot of architectural progress, art and architecture was in progress. During this time, we see the construction of Taj Mahal for the memories of his beloved wife, Mumtaz Mahal. The period of his reign was the golden age of the Mughal architecture. Shahjahan erected many splendid monuments. The most famous, जैसे बोला था, आगरा का ताज महल, built as a tomb for his wife Mumtaz Mahal. The next monument, दूसरा Pearl Mosque at Agra, and the palace and the great mosque at Delhi. He celebrated the peacock throne, which is said to be the millions of dollars. Sir, just a minute.
Yes, sir. No problem. Last 5 minutes remaining. Some technical issues आहे. काही टेक्निकल इश्यूमुळे आपण 2 मिनिटं ब्रेक घेतलेला आहे. चालू होतोय लगेच. सरांकडे एक थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल इश्यू झालेला आहे. एक टेक्निकल इश्यू की वजह से हम लोग 2 मिनट यहाँ पे रुक रहे हैं. दोस्तों बहुत एक्साइटेड, बहुत ही बढ़िया सेशन चल रहा है और सर ने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से एक एक मॉड्यूल को बहुत ही बारीकाई से आपके सामने पेश किया है और मुझे लगता है कि ये सेशन इतना अच्छा आपके लिए होगा कि जब एग्जाम्स रहेंगे तो एग्जाम्स के टाइम पे उसको आप बहुत अच्छी तरीके से लिख सकते हो. थोड़ी देर में सर ज्वाइन हो रहे और जो रिमेनिंग पार्ट है वो आपके सामने पेश करेंगे. युवराज सर, आर यू देयर? युवराज सर, युवराज सर, आर यू देयर?
Hello, sir.
Yes, yes, go ahead sir, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, yes, आपकी आवाज आ रही है सर. सर लॉग आउट करके
Okay. Shall I continue?
यस यस कंटिन्यू करो. आपका वीडियो नहीं दिख रहा है. हाँ, गो हेड. आप अनम्यूट कीजिए.
Connection. Okay. So after Shahjahan, his son
सर आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है. सर आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
एक मिनट सर. सर अभी आ रही है?
हाँ, आवाज आ रही है सर. गो हेड.
After Shahjahan, the number was Abbal Muzaffar Muhyiddin Muhammad. But औरंगजेब कैसे आया ये लेना important है because there was a war of succession for the first time in the Mughal history. The war of succession which took place among the sons of Shah Jahan during 1657 to 1659 had one novelty. While previously these wars were fought after the death of the emperor. This war was fought when Khud Shah Jahan Zinda. Besides all sons and daughters of Shah Jahan, who are famous in history and all of whom were children of the same mother, Mumtaz Mahal. All participated in this. While the four brothers, Tarasiko, Suja, Aurangzeb, and Murad Baksh fought against one another. The sisters allied themselves with one brother or the other. One of the daughter of Shah Jahan, Jahan Ara, supported Tarasuko. Roshan Ara allied herself with Aurangzeb, and Guhan Ara sided with Murar Baksh. All these four princes prepared themselves to capture the throne when Shah Jahan fell ill. And in this war of succession, Akbar, Muzaffar, Muhyiddin, Muhammad Aurangzeb succeeded. और यहाँ थोड़ा सा अपना हिस्ट्री रुक जाता है. I'm going back again. When we study the history of the Sultanate period, this Sultanate period was also blocked by one Hindu kingdom, that was the Vijayanagar Empire, which was established in the south. Delhi Sultanate was established in the north. Vijayanagar Empire, the Hindu Empire, was in the south. The same thing happened during the time of the Mughals. During the time of the Mughal Shah, and that was the northern part of India. One great Hindu kingdom arose in the name of Swaraj, established by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And this was the turning point. The rise of the Marathas, the history of the Marathas is unique in itself.
युवराज सर, सॉरी फॉर इंटरप्ट, आपका आवाज क्लियर नहीं आ रहा है, आपका वीडियो भी नहीं दिख रहा है बराबर. आपके यहाँ पे नेट का शायद इश्यू है क्या? आप लॉग आउट करके वापस ज्वाइन कीजिए ना सर. आप लॉग आउट कीजिए, फिर लॉग ऑन कीजिए, वापस ज्वाइन कीजिए. सॉरी, ये डिजिटल होने की वजह से बहुत सारे चैलेंजेस आते हैं दोस्तों. ये हमारे हाथ में नहीं होता है. इशू जो होता है ना, डिजिटल जो इशू होते हैं, नेटवर्क का जमाना ही है, ऑनलाइन के जमाने में ये सभी चैलेंजेस आते हैं. तो हमें थोड़ा सा खेद है उसके लिए कि थोड़ा सा डिस्टर्बेंस आपको आ रहा है, लेकिन थोड़ी देर में सब दोबारा यहाँ पे ज्वाइन हो जाएंगे और दोबारा हम लोग उसको सुनेंगे. बहुत ही अच्छा सेशन चल रहा है अभी. हम लोग ने देखा कि कैसे औरंगजेब का पीरियड चालू हो गया और उसी समय छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज का जो बोलते हैं ना मराठा एम्पायर, उसी के बारे में हम लोग अभी डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, चर्चा कर रहे हैं. और बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट शुरुआत हो चुकी है और बहुत अच्छी तरीके से युवराज सर आपको एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं. तो थोड़ी देर हम लोग थोड़ा सा वेट करेंगे. कुछ टेक्निकल इशू के वजह से उनको दोबारा ज्वाइन हो रहे हैं, लेकिन वेट कर रहे हैं हम लोग. तुरंत तो आ जाएंगे यहाँ पे. दोस्तों, ये सब्जेक्ट इतना वास्ट है मेडिवल इंडिया, क्योंकि आपने देखा है कि मॉड्यूल नंबर 1, मॉड्यूल नंबर 2, मॉड्यूल नंबर 3 और मॉड्यूल नंबर 4, ये चार ही मॉड्यूल बहुत ही वास्ट है. बहुत ज़्यादा इसमें हर एक चीज़ आपको एक्सप्लेन करनी पड़ रही है उनको, तो थोड़ा सा समय लग रहा है. और क्योंकि ये मेडिवल इंडिया ऐसा टॉपिक है कि जहाँ पे आप बहुत अच्छी तरीके से जो बोलते ज्ञान आप ले सकते हो, और अगर उसको आप अच्छी तरीके से सब ज्ञान अगर आप लेते हो तो आपको बहुत अच्छा बेनिफिट होगा. आगे जाके बहुत सारी जो एग्जाम्स होते हैं, कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स होते हैं, ऐसे नहीं कि सिर्फ यूनिवर्सिटी के एग्जाम्स के लिए इसका आपको बेनिफिट होगा. यस, युवराज सर इज देयर. युवराज सर, गो अहेड.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And sorry for the interruption, sir.
नो प्रॉब्लेम सर, गो अहेड सर.
Okay.
सर, शेवटची 15 मिनिटं आहेत. तुम्ही कव्हर
हो,
करू.
चालेल चालेल.
ठीक ठीक. ओके.
Okay. So we were talking, we were discussing, we were on the point on the establishment of Swarajya by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. In the rule of the Mughal Shahi, we see the rise of the Marathas, and it was not all of a sudden, it was the necessity of the time. The Marathas were very chivalrous, very courageous, because at one stroke they were fighting with the Mughals who had come from the north, the Nizam of Ahmednagar, and the Bijapuri Adil Shah. On the three different phases, these Marathas fought and acquired their status. And due to their courage, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was able to establish the Swarajya or the Maratha kingdom for the Marathi people. So this is a part of history. When we discuss about the Delhi Sultanate, the break was there because Vijayanagar Empire was established in the south. When Mughal Shahi was there, it was broken up when another Hindu kingdom rose in the form of Swarajya established by Chhatrapati Shivaji. So when we discuss about the Mughal kingdom, we start from 1526 and end till 1707. यानी छत्रपति राजाराम महाराज का अंत हुआ उस समय तक। छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज ने शासन, एक नया शासन अपने प्रदेश को दिया। His administration was very conveniently, diplomatically accepted by the people. It is very popularly known as Asht Pradhan Mandal. 8 ministers were there appointed by him to rule the Maratha kingdom. और ये मराठास नॉर्थ यानी अफगानिस्तान तक पहुंचे थे। अफगानिस्तान में एक गांव है अटक करके, वहां तक पहुंचे थे। साउथ में they reached तंजावुर। छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज, उनका इतिहास, it is like a prayer to us that we have to remember every day. After him, his eldest son, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, came. And he fought chivalrously against Aurangzeb. And after Sambhaji Maharaj, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj came on the throne. I am going step by step. Back again to the Mughal rule, Aurangzeb. As we see the rule of Shah Jahan as the age of architecture, even Aurangzeb, he spent most of his life, half of his life in Maharashtra, and his tenure is also known as an architectural age. He established the great monument named as Bibi Ka Maqbara in Aurangabad, Panchaki, and many masjid and gardens in Aurangabad. He died in Maharashtra. The Mughal emperor died in Maharashtra. And he was laid down in the district of Nagar. So the history of medieval India, which starts from 1000 AD, comes to decline from 1707, and it totally declined in 1857. So this topic, king by king, has been discussed with the view of examination. Remember the king, the genealogy, and most probably the work of every king, because during the time of exam, every king must be known by the student by his work and his rule. And by these words, I stop here. I thank you all for your kind patience to listen to me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
And sorry
बहुत
for the
जबरदस्त।
interruption once again, sir.
नो प्रॉब्लम सर, नो इश्यू। डिजिटल में, ऑनलाइन में ये सब चीजें तो हम लोग एज्यूम करके चलते हैं।
Yes, sir. Yes.
नो इश्यू सर, बहुत ही बढ़िया सर। मुझे तो ऐसा लग रहा था मैं बार बार आपको सुनते रहूं। ऐसे नहीं कि आप मेरे दोस्त हो, लेकिन बहुत ही जबरदस्त आपका 4 ही मॉडल के ऊपर आपने बहुत ही अच्छी तरीके से हमारे स्टूडेंट्स को एक्सप्लेन किया है। कुछ क्वेश्चंस है, मैं आपको एक 5 मिनट का समय लेता हूँ। सर, जो हमारे 4 मॉड्यूल है, तो 4 मॉड्यूल में सबसे पहला जो मॉड्यूल है हमारा मॉड्यूल नंबर 1, फाउंडेशन, एक्सपेंशन एंड डिक्लाइन ऑफ द मुगल रूल। तो इसमें जो भी हमारे क्वेश्चंस अभी आने वाले हैं या मल्टीपल चॉइस में किस टाइप के क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं, और ऐसे ही 4 ही मॉड्यूल। मॉड्यूल नंबर 2 जो है एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द मुगल्स, मॉड्यूल नंबर 3 राइज ऑफ द मराठा पावर, एंड मॉड्यूल नंबर 4 सोसाइटी, इकोनॉमी, रिलीजियंस, कल्चर ऑफ द मुगल रूल्स। तो ये 4 मॉड्यूल में हमें कौन से टाइप के और कैसे, कौन से जो मॉड्यूल है या जो सब मॉड्यूल है उसके ऊपर हम लोग फोकस करें कि हमारे स्टूडेंट्स जो सवाल कर रहे हैं कि कौन सा ऐसा मॉड्यूल, सब तो मॉड्यूल नंबर 1 है, तो मॉड्यूल नंबर 1 में 3 सब टॉपिक है, तो उसके ऊपर कैसे हम लोग फोकस करें और कैसे टाइप के क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं। तो सर प्लीज स्टूडेंट को बताइए, तो बहुत ही हेल्पफुल होगा। यस
सर, मॉड्यूल 1 में बेसिकली इट इज गिवन एज फाउंडेशन, कंसोलिडेशन एंड एक्सटेंशन ऑफ द मुगल रूल। सो 1526 से बाबर ने इस्टेब्लिश किया, हुमायूं तक वी कैन कॉन्सेंट्रेट ऑन दैट, बट एज देयर वाज ब्रेक इन दिस मुगल रूल and it was done by शेर शाह सूरी, तो ये 3 किंग पहले मॉड्यूल में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट। एंड ऑनलाइन एग्जाम्स के अनुसार ये तीनों किंग्स के जो वर्किंग है, जो डिप्लोमेटिक पार्ट्स उन्होंने प्ले किए हैं फॉर एक्सटेंशन, फॉर कंसोलिडेशन, द एरियाज which they won or the battles which were fought, the dates, मैंने लेक्चर्स में डेट्स दिए हैं, आई थिंक दो स्टूडेंट्स मस्ट हैव नोटेड डाउन। तो ये डेट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है ऑनलाइन एग्जाम में, बिकॉज देयर विल बी अ 1 line सेंटेंस एंड 4 ऑप्शंस। इन descriptive examination, every king, important king from first module will be Akbar the Great. Then before Akbar, Sher Shah Suri, conflict of Sher Shah Suri and Humayun, then Akbar, and then Shah Jahan. These are very important kings for study, for descriptive types of question, जहां lengthy answers necessary. ये 3 kings, 4 kings वैसे देखा जाए तो हुमायूं, शेर शाह सूरी, Akbar and Shah Jahan. Why Shah Jahan? Because it was the glorious period of the Mughal history. जहां आज भी उनकी पहचान आज भी अपने को दिखाई देती। तो ये एक है। लास्ट किंग विल बी औरंगजेब, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू स्टडी। बीच में जहांगीर छोड़ दो, थोड़ा सा कॉन्सेंट्रेट चांद बीबी के ऊपर करना है, नूरजहां के ऊपर करना है, जो सलीम के जमाने में द वुमेन्स पावर वाज देयर। ये दो कंसंट्रेशन वेरी नेसेसरी है। आई थिंक आई हैव ड्रॉप दैट, बट इन द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर आई ट्राई टू कवर इट अप। ये इंपॉर्टेंट है। इन रेफरेंस टू ऑनलाइन एग्जाम्स, एवरी किंग और उनका जो कार्य है और बैटल फील्ड्स है वो खाली याद रखो, उसके ऊपर ही ट्रेस हो जाए।
ओके, वेरी गुड। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। और अगर अगर आप ये बताएं कि मॉड्यूल नंबर 3 राइज ऑफ द मराठा पावर, तो उसमें छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज ने जो हिंदवी स्वराज्य का निर्माण किया है, तो उसमें कौन से टाइप के कैसे क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं हमारे स्टूडेंट्स को, आप जरा।
यहाँ इसमें मैंने बोला था कि सर छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज के जो फाइटिंग टेक्निक्स है, उन्होंने कौन से किले जीत लिए थे। Importance of forts is very necessary to study, and how they won, and with whom he fought, that is also very necessary, because both in the descriptive type and online exam it is very necessary to know. The dates are very important. In fact, the dates, कुछ historians ने कुछ गलतफहमी की है the birth date of Chhatrapati Shivaji, but the government which has given 19th February, that should be considered. No other date should be considered. Then जो forts उन्होंने लिए, अफजल खान, मीटिंग ऑफ अफजल खान एट प्रतापगढ़, वो इंसिडेंट्स याद रखना जरूरी है। दूसरी बात, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के बारे में छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज का अष्टप्रधान मंडल जो है, 8 मंत्री लोग है, या 8 मंत्री लोग का पोर्टफोलियो याद रखना जरूरी है। उनके जमाने में पेशवा कौन था, पेशवा कैसे बनाया, हाउ इट वाज डिनोटेड एज पेशवा, व्हाट इज अमात्या, व्हाट इज सचिव, व्हाट इज दबीर, ये सब अपने को, ये सीक्वेंस में अपने को याद रखना जरूरी है इन डिस्क्रिप्टिव एंड ऑनलाइन एग्जाम। आफ्टर छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज, छत्रपति संभाजी महाराज का इतिहास भी ऐसे ही याद रखना है। उन्होंने औरंगजेब के साथ बहुत बड़ी फाइट की थी, वो कैसे कैप्चर हो गए और उनको कैसे मारा, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टू नो द हिस्ट्री। उनके बाद छत्रपति राजाराम महाराज आए, उनके जमाने में कैसे मराठास में डिविडेशन हो गया, कुछ लोग आउट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र जाके मराठा पावर वहां तक खींच ले, दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट टू नो। और आफ्टर हिज डेथ हाउ पेशवा तक अपन नहीं जा सकते, लेकिन अपना एंड 1707 तक ही होता है, जहां छत्रपति राजाराम महाराज का देहांत होता है।
ओके, वेरी गुड सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच सर, वंस अगेन वेरी 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 थैंक यू वेरी मच। यहाँ सबसे पहले तो मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा हमारे कॉलेज के चेयरमैन, हमारे कॉलेज के संस्था के प्राचार्य डॉक्टर जे.सी. पुरुषवाणी सर, कि जिन्होंने बहुत ये बोलता है कि ये प्रोग्राम को लेने के लिए उन्होंने बहुत बोलते हैं कि बोला कि नहीं, हमारे स्टूडेंट जो है बहुत गांव से आते हैं, रूरल एरिया से आते हैं, और उनको ये देना बहुत जरूरी है। तो सर का मोटो एक ही था कि हमारा एक भी स्टूडेंट ऐसा नहीं रहना चाहिए कि उसको एग्जाम के पहले वो स्ट्रेस फ्री हो जाए, और बहुत अच्छी सोच है उनकी। और इसके लिए हमारे IQC कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर खुशबू पुरुषवानी मैडम ने ये सोचा कि नहीं, ये करना चाहिए और ये होना चाहिए। तो इसके लिए तुरंत हम लोगों ने, जैसे लास्ट सेमेस्टर में हम लोगों ने 5th सेमेस्टर किया था, वैसे ही ये 6th सेमेस्टर कर रहे, ऐसे ही हम लोग आगे जाके जो MA के स्टूडेंट है उनको ही हम लोग ऐसे ये मौके, क्रैश सीरीज का मौका हम लोग उनको देने वाले हैं। तो बहुत ही बढ़िया। मैं वंस अगेन हमारे कॉलेज के संस्थापक चेयरमैन, संस्थापक प्राचार्य डॉक्टर जे.सी. पुरुषवाणी सर, उनको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ आर्ट्स डिपार्टमेंट की तरफ से, इतिहास विभाग की तरफ से, कि उन्होंने हमें मौका दिया ये बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम इनिशिएटिव करने के लिए। उन्होंने जो हमें संधि दी है उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। वंस अगेन IQC कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर खुशबू पुरुषवानी मैडम, उनको भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देते हैं। हमारे पूरा आर्ट्स डिपार्टमेंट, उनको भी बहुत धन्यवाद। और सर, आप अपने जो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट जो टाइम निकाला आज, आपके लेक्चर का टाइम, क्योंकि सुबह सुबह सभी लोगों का लेक्चर्स होते हैं, उसमें अपने टाइम निकाल के यहाँ पे आप आए। थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल इश्यू हुआ, लेकिन वो एज्यूम है क्योंकि ऑनलाइन में ये सब कुछ नेटवर्क हमारे हाथ में नहीं होता है। तो नो वरी सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच वंस अगेन, और मिलते हैं।